Hello, dear friends. Here we are. Yes, we are here together in this beautiful journey of 21 days of empowerment. And it's all about redefining money. Money is the word of the day. Yes, 21 days, right? And here we are together studying this book, Money, from the spirit author Emmanuel, through the medium Chico Xavier. This book is available at the website of the United States Spiritist Council, www.spiritist.us. My friends, every time we begin, though we don't say a formal prayer, but our thoughts are aligned in reverence with God, the good spirits who guide our lives, asking for inspiration, asking that we may understand what we need to redefine to live a more fulfilled life. It's very important for us to realize that we're never alone and that these teachings really are transformative, right? And the chapter today, 6, the talent of all. The talent of all. Every single chapter is very inspirational. Spiritism is the promised consoler, is the message that comes to us to bring a new paradigm for our daily lives. But it's very difficult at times to break patterns of the past and create new habits. But without new habits, we cannot evolve. So before we begin reading the chapter and immersing ourselves in today's therapeutic conversation, let us say hi to our community. And it's due to this beautiful community that we're gaining strength each and every day to customize our lives to new standards and not fall trap into the negativity that is going around in the world. At this time, it's essential that we stay tuned with the higher spheres, with the good spirits. Think positively, feel positively, do things in a positive way, always find the good, right? So let us say hi to our dear friends before we begin the reading of Emmanuel's wise words. Hello, Angelita, how are you? And Jussar, our dear Jussar, how are you? Leia Severo, Valéria Benfica, what a joy, what a joy. And Andréa Torres, Solange Silva. We're going to read the full names of everybody, right? Yes. Patrícia Cardoso, Rihanna, William C., if I'm saying it correct, forgive me, Rihanna, Ceissa Costa, Dani Braviera, and our dear Erika Anceloni, Gustavo Barreto, it's good to see you here, my friend, and Sabine Beck, right? Friends, here we are. The talent of all. Let us not forget the beginning of the book at the preface. Money is also from God. We need to redefine it, and to redefine, to give us a new opportunity, to get rid of the shackles of the past. For the longest time we carry beliefs that are limiting, and right now we're creating a different belief. The belief that money is also from God. It's likely that this is the first reincarnation that we're actually aware of it. It's very possible. For the longest time, we have lived in a different way. Hello, Adilson Araújo. Yes, friends, evoking the talent of all in our full names as well, because nothing is by chance. Emmanuel says, let us prepare ourselves to enter the connection with the mind of the author, as Leon Denis says in the book After Death. As we're reading, we're entering this communication with the mind of the author that is immortal, and as such, we create new awareness, not only to the spiritual mind, but the physical, the perispiritual brain, and the physical brain as well. As we're reading this, according to science, it's very possible, if not certain, that we're creating a new biology for us. It's a new foundation. The talent of all. In abundance or scarcity, being assertive or subservient, despise not, thou act and serve. Because in the concessions of space and time, work is common talent to all. And in doing this work, it is intended to magnify the spirit in the direction of the great spheres. Through it, the simple forces of nature move along the evolutionary path, climbing the ladder of progress for the ascension to the heights of experience. With it, the worm steers and so fertilizes the womb of the earth. Through it, the seed strives and becomes a useful plant, establishing itself as the blessed guarantee of the bread. Enjoying it, the bee becomes a laborious worker, manufacturing excellent honey. Assuming inspiration, a spring of water dislocates and grows in greater possibilities, becoming a great river that supports civilization from its own furrow. In the landscape surrounding us, everything is an exaltation of real divine talent. That is why money and health, culture and intelligence, as well as the numerous resources that surround individuals on earth, are subordinate to work, in order to increase production and multiply the benefits that concern them. Do not succumb to negative considerations of sadness or indiscipline, angst, which are always conditioned to the action that is proper for demanded compensation. Answer to the Lord that serves you through the incessant work of nature, with the tireless work of your thoughts, your arms, your brain, your heart, so you elevate to communion with infinite love. Without work, faith becomes worship without benefits, and hope is nothing more than a flower incapable of fructifying, while even charity is limited to a game of bright words around which the naked, the famished, the needy, and the sick often pronounce curses. Work and live. Do not allow the fortune of time, lent to all by God's goodness, to dissipate into an inoperative ideal because of your frozen hands. Indeed, many disasters follow our path of necessary experiences, in the shape of our soul's flaws and weaknesses when facing the laws of God. However, of these the greatest is laziness, because laziness is the protector of ignorance and penury, and through this we can descend into the strangest evil imbalances. As often when we read the manual's explanations, it's unique, and it comes from an unprecedented angle, showing to us that the mind of Emmanuel, when he writes these books to us through Chico Xavier, comes after long reflections and studies in the spiritual realm from the higher spheres of understanding. And what a gift for us to have a book like this. As Chico Xavier used to say, Spiritism is a true treasure, is the treasure of all treasures. And you and I have this treasure at hand. The question is, what are we doing with it? Are we keeping it to a few? Or are we opening up to the masses? What are we doing with it, my friends? It's time for us to ask this question, because of all talents we have been given, besides life itself, besides the physical body, true asset of an incarnation, unique, Spiritism comes as the light of discernment. And if we're keeping this light to illuminate the life of a few, for whatever reason, we are keeping it selfishly to a few. So the question is, what can I do to multiply? When we talk about talents, the talent of all, Emmanuel is inviting us to revisit the resources we have at hand. Do you feel yourself as a resourceful person? Literally speaking, do you feel you're resourceful? How resourceful you think you are? Yes? Yes, Carol Correa is communicating here with us. Thank you. She's saying this is the most precious treasure. Exactly, Carol. Thank you so much. Hello, Felicia and Rita Di Cassia. Welcome, welcome, dear friends. So the talent of all. Today, you and I and everyone who is enjoying this moment together is invited to revisit our talents. Think of yourself right now. Let's do one exercise. Let us feel that at this moment we're not incarnated. Well, it's not too bad because you don't have bills to pay. Not these bills. We'll pay other bills, but not the current bills. Or don't need to wash the dishes, don't need to make your bed, don't need to clean the house, don't need to... Think about this. It's you and you. And what are the talents you have at hand? What are the talents you can easily... Can we outline like top three? Top three. So forget about the physical body now, because we're talking about from the immortal perspective. What are top three talents that you have in your life? And outline it. Okay? Not for the community, but for you. For me. Let me think. Top three talents. There you go. We've got it. Now, what are we doing with these talents? Are we multiplying? Keeping it to ourselves because people may not understand us? Keeping it to a few because we think this few, poor them, they need this help. What about the rest of the world? Think about this. Let us meditate. Let us think. Let us think and go back to the lesson. He begins this chapter, the talent of all, by talking about this very paradigm. It's about the polarity, abundance, scarcity. Abundance, scarcity. Being assertive or subservient. Okay? And he says, in the concessions of space and time. Okay? Because we know it's relative now. Space and time. Work is common talent to all. work is a common talent to all. Work. He is unveiling to us a common ground that anyone has at hand. Work. And in doing this work, it is intended to magnify the spirit in the direction of the great spheres. And let us recall what kind of work he's talking about. He's talking about the definition of work given by the spirits at Kardec's time. In the book. Which book? The Spirit's book. Love work. What is work, Kardec asks? Work is any useful occupation. Any useful occupation. Somebody is being useful, they're working, whether studying, meditating, going to the gym, or eating healthy, or cooking, or cleaning, or driving, or flying. If it's useful, it's work. And he says that when we perform such usefulness in life, we are ascending to what he says? The greater spheres. That's the talent of all. Work. But he's not talking about the professional work per se. He's not talking about the work that is financially being given. No. It's any useful occupation. So now you can tell, right? That the spirits were right in all the messages that the most blessed work of all is of the mother. Because it's the most useful one. Without the work of a mother, there is no new birth. Really. That's how it is. And this is nothing to compare with the work of a father. But the work of a mother is unique. In gestating the new life. In caring. If the mother works in that role. At that end. If not, of course. No wonder the world is convulsing. Because many women forgot the blessings of motherhood. The more I work on that end, the more I discover why the spirits constantly call us to the sacred motherhood. Because it is only in the true devotion of that mission that we rebuild a new society, a new generation. And fatherhood comes along. Right? Yes, Felipe. Yes, thanks to all the moms, and he loves his mom, and that's beautiful. Honor your mother and father, no matter their imperfections. Honoring them is the fourth commandment of the basic commandments of life. Oh yes, Emmanuel tells us that in the book O Consolador, the Consoler, not in English yet. When he was asked about the 10 Commandments by Moses, and he explains, in those 10 Commandments we found the foundation of the understanding of God's law, God's justice, the law of love and justice. Honor your father and mother. We really need to meditate on that deeply. Once at the Spirit Side of Baltimore, inspired by the mentors at the time, we created a beautiful campaign. I honor my parents. I honor my parents. And that's not to tell them that they were perfect, because none of us are. None of us are. But without them, we couldn't be here. And even without their imperfections, we couldn't be here either, because we reinvented ourselves on top of their imperfections. We found new ways of being thanks to their imperfections. Because if we were, by any chance, reincarnated in a different way with different parents, we wouldn't be who we are today. We came to this very resolution. Sometimes people find Spiritism and connect more deeply with the Spiritist teachings, or a philosophy or religion, or God. They really find the meaning of life because of the problems they experience in the relationship with their parents. So then we go back to our parents and say, thank you. You were very useful to me. Like a beautiful worm that makes holes in the soil of the earth and creates pathways for the air, the oxygen and the nitrogen to go in and out and aerify it. Exactly. And every spring, depending on the community where we live in, there are companies that have that specific role to aerify the aerification of the soil, which is a work done by the worms. Thanks to the worms, we have new life. And we're not saying that our parents may be the worms, but we may be the worms in somebody else's life, creating holes through which new air comes in. So then even the obsessors, we say, thank you. Thanks to you, I prayed more. I studied more. I helped more people. I became more aware. Thank you, obsessors, because thanks to you, I found a new pathway for my life. Right? So, anybody and everybody is useful. The talent of all. And here we have Emmanuel telling us, through work, the simplest forces of nature move along the evolutionary path, climbing this ladder of progress, being useful. My friends, even criminals are useful. Even a bad leader is useful, creating new movements on the earth to make sure that the social is sustained. Exactly. God knows well and allows each one of us to play a role, knowing that through this pathway we're going to find new ways and reinvent ourselves. Right? Thank you, Felipe. He says, I love my parents. Without them, I wouldn't be anything. It's unconditional love. Thank you, Felipe. And it's a pathway for us to discover this peace within, because as psychology says, it's important to be at peace with our ancestors, not only from this family and this life, but through the civilizations. Why? Because they are the roots of ourselves. If there is any civilization in this world or in the past of this world that you do not like, immerse yourself in studying that to get to know more about it, and you find a new knowledge about yourself, because probably you have something to do with it, and it's time to reconcile within. There's nothing in this planet that does not have the opportunity of being useful. The worm steers and fertilizes the womb of the earth. See, the worm. Remember in the book, last chapter, Thought and Life, chapter 30, Love. And I'm going to quote by reading it again. I remember a little bit of it, but Emmanuel's Emmanuel. Let's read from the very book, chapter 30. The Lord loves the lowly worm and gives the worm many thousands of centuries to rise from the slime of the abyss, just as much as God loves the angel who represents him. So here we have, right? So here we have. And you're right, Carol. This is our working time here. Carol Correa sharing here with us through messages. It's our working time right now. And we have the opportunity of finding out and making peace within, trying to find these commonalities and reconciliation within. Hello, Guilherme. Through work, the seed strives. Let's meditate a little bit on the work of the seed, shall we? It's in the darkness, and it has to work itself from within, inside out, and sprout and grow and go to the surface, out. That's exactly the work we're doing as spirits, immortal souls. We're getting ourselves out. Hello, Marcio Lee. And becomes a useful plant. Friends, it's very important that we meditate. We were created in God's thought, as André Louis says. It is through our feeling and thinking that we create our lives. Our lives are the mirror image of our thoughts, not only of the present, but of millennia. But we shall not judge. We shall not judge. Because in our thoughts lie the new doorways for new opportunities. So visualize the good, and that's work in itself. Somebody asked me the other day, Vanessa, but is it really worthwhile visualizing the good in the world we're living in, where there is so much confusion and chaos? Friends, that's the principle of life. We're being challenged to the core, to the limit of ourselves, so we can graduate on the earth and go to another level. This is the time in which we need to sustain ourselves daily, thinking of the good. Like Jesus, when he was traveling from a city to another, and in that desertic pathway, he saw a dog that was dead. The disciples were going away from the dog because it smelled. The putrefied odor was exhaling. It was very bad, right? But Jesus kindly took the opportunity to teach us an immortal lesson. He looked at the dog and mentioned, this dog must have had beautiful teeth. An immortal lesson for us, telling us to see the beauty in everything, to see the divine in everything, to see the good always. As Jesus said to one of his disciples, reported in the book Good News by Humberto de Campos through Chico Xavier, I always prefer to believe in the good. How about you? Shall we ask this therapeutic question for all of us? We're working from within to heal ourselves from old conditionings, creating new habits of feeling and new habits of thinking. After all, Jesus is the personal trainer of all times. He is the one granted to God, from God to us. So the question is, how used are you to seeing the good? Is it in our daily lives? Is it a rare event? Is it something you do sometimes? Always? Never? Often? Where do you think you are? Let me think for myself. How often during my day I believe in the good? I prefer to believe in the good. No matter how many thoughts come my way, because I attracted them. Law of the mental field. I attract what I emit. So if now it's showering a lot of thoughts of negativity, it's because I attracted. Now I have to do the reverse conditioning. It's counter conditioning. It's a matter of training ourselves to think the good by feeling the good. And how do I go by? By going within. Going within myself. It's what Thich Nhat Hanh mentions in the book Silence. Finding the island of the self, that divine seed. Today it's in the news, and it's been for 2 days, but now more widespread. The Dalai Lama mentioned that he sleeps 9 hours a day and meditates 5 hours a day. And some spiritist friends were asking me, Vanessa, how can that be possible? And I said, friend, it all depends what he means, sleeping and meditating. I don't know, because there are many different ways of going by. But we as spiritists, we know we are not inactive when we're sleeping. And we know even more that meditating is not an idle activity. It's actually a very active mode of the soul. And it's that light within. And in a way, you know, if people were doing more meditation, but trying to find the self, the divine within, they would probably have less wars in the world. If we spoke less on the phone, talking about the lives of others, and meditated more, we would probably do much better. Often we think that we need to be talking to people all the time to feel whole. But we already understand that when we talk too much, we're sucking the energy of others. That's why many people feel the need to talk and talk and talk. And I'm saying this because André Luiz talks about this. It's a human theme. When we talk, remember, we can be either giving or sucking the energies of others. So probably meditating more and finding ourselves, we would probably do a favor to humanity. Right? And we're saying this kindly, a meditation for all of us. Sometimes we're home and we're like, what do I do? Turn the TV on? Should I look and browse the internet all the time? Should I respond to email? What about doing none of this and doing what Jesus used to do? Stay with yourself and connected with God. Learn to meditate. There are many different ways. For us spiritists, it's that moment within when we know we're not alone. We're also in connection not only with our own minds, but the protecting spirits. And it's not a mediumistic phenomenon per se that we're saying. It's just that inner encounter when we observe ourselves without fear, beginning with relaxation breathing. Breathing in. Let's do this exercise right now, shall we? Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. One more time. Breathing in and out. And now, let us observe within. How does it feel? And you breathe in and out. You continue. That's a good way to meditate. Keep breathing in and out. Not now, but later. Breathing in and out. Listening to your breathing in and out. Like the waves of the sea. In and out. In and And by listening to the breathing mechanism, you're going to find yourself observing emotions as if you're watching a movie. And when you feel like you're going to be unsettled, you deepen the breathing mechanism and you observe. And if anything is unsettling, you tell yourself, everything's okay, I'm safe, I'm protected. Keep observing. And that is a mechanism to help us gain one of the most important gains in a reincarnation, self-control. Learning to take action instead of reacting. It's very useful talking about work and being useful. And he says here, enjoying work, the bee becomes a laborious worker, manufacturing excellent honey. So now he is giving qualities to this disposition of being useful. Not only being useful, but enjoying being useful. Like the bee, we make food for others, right? Right, my friend. Vanessa Godoy, self-control. It's keyword for reincarnation. We need to teach our kids and ourselves. Telling. It's very hard, but it begins with mind over matter. Telling. Body. You are my pet. My kind and loving pet. And I tell you, everything is okay. Don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry. Be happy, right? And then I tell myself, don't worry, be happy. And it's real, because that's what we need to do. Let's say you're hungry, and you need to feed a child. You need to give passes on somebody. You need to drive to pick up somebody. You need to finish your work before you present at a meeting. Body, control yourself. As Jesus taught us, there are many ways of nourishing ourselves. Breathing in and out. And I'm giving you food. Don't get desperate. You're not going to die because you don't have one meal. Because there are many people who don't have many meals and they're still living. One meal at a later time is not going to kill us. So then we learn how to control ourselves. Oh, I'm feeling a headache. Okay, headache. Talk to the headache. And enjoy the work. Assuming inspiration. A spring of water dislocates and grows into greater possibilities, becoming a greater river and supporting civilization. So through work, we become vessels of the higher inspiration. In the landscape surrounding us, everything is an exaltation of this real divine talent. Everything in nature works without noticing, right? And now he goes back to the key word, money. Where does money come in now? We're redefining it, right? He says that's why money and health, culture and intelligence, as well as numerous resources that surround individuals on earth, are subordinate to work in order to increase production and multiply the benefits that concern them. So work comes before money. I know many parents of teenagers and little kids that are worried about teaching their children about the value of money. And according to Emmanuel, we will tell these parents, before you teach them the value of money, teach them the value of work. Because by appreciating being useful and being a true worker of God, money becomes a consequence of it all. Right? That's great, Vanessa, that your family is listening. A big hug to the whole family. Okay? That's grateful. Yeah, that you're grateful. I'm grateful too. Everybody here is grateful. Now, let us now go back to this issue. It's not about the value of money, but the value of work. Because as Emmanuel is saying, even health, money, culture, and intelligence, they depend on work. Work is everything. Paul of Tarsus, we're talking about teaching the value of work. His father, Saul's father, actually taught him first the value of work. And then he learned about everything else. So when he needed to shift his life, he knew what to do next, because he learned since an early age about the value of work. So it's about working. We need your help. Repeat to your children, to your teenagers. You were born to help. You were reborn to serve God. And don't think your children are going to be less because they're serving, because serving God is an honor. Is an honor. But we should feel the same. We wake up and I'm not going to my work. I'm going to enjoy being useful wherever I am. Even if I have to stay home taking care of a sick person. Even if I cannot go to work because I'm sick, I can still be useful. And Emmanuel talks about it in the words that he taught as Father Damien in the book Renunciation, psychographed by Chico Xavier. Right? That even when we are sick, we're given the opportunity of serving God by being patient and by being resilient and inspiring people around. Look at the beautiful case in the book Heaven and Hell by Kardec. Little Claire. Little Claire. Little Claire was this beautiful, beautiful soul. This beautiful soul. Very early age, she became sick. She had many siblings, parents, and she was an inspiration to the family because in spite of being sick, she was always patient. Because some people, when they are sick, they become so demanding. And she was not. She was actually giving. Like Jerônimo Mendonça, he was giving, giving, and giving, and giving. So we need to ask ourselves, how giving are we? I remember the man, he was like living his young years. He was 20 to 21 years old, Bruno. In 1999, we were teaching a group of young teenagers about Spiritism in the Washington, D.C. area. It was a Spiritist youth group. And Bruno, he was there. He had a degenerative disease. He was always on a wheelchair with oxygen tubes connected to his body. He could speak and only move one finger. Through it, he taught Daniel Santos from Baltimore to create websites. And from that teaching, Daniel Santos did the magic many years later. But it all began with somebody who was very sick. But through his talent, he used the pathway of his usefulness to teach another soul older than him about a technique that later would illuminate lives. And today we have Spiritist Network and much more. So think about this, about the many talents that we have and we're not using, right? And especially the talent of all, which is work. And he says, do not succumb. How current is this teaching? Do not succumb to negative considerations of sadness, anger, pessimism, or indiscipline, which are always conditioned to the action that is proper for demanded compensation. Answer to the Lord that serves you in incessant work. God is serving you and I incessantly. What are we doing? So, he says, use your thoughts, your arms, your brain, your heart to elevate in communion with God. Without work, even faith, hope, doesn't go anywhere. Work and live. Work with your thought. Work with your heart. Work with your hands. Work with your feet. Work with your whole self. Do not allow the fortune of time. Now he's redefining money. He's saying money is not the ultimate goal. Being useful is the ultimate goal. Because as I am useful, I'm using the fortune of time in the wisest possible way. And lend to all by God's goodness to dissipate into an inoperative ideal because of your frozen hands. So he's now wrapping up the chapter by giving us the counterpart of work. If work is the talent of all of us creatures of God, laziness is the other side of the coin. There is a book titled Gotas de Luz, Drops of Light, not in English, by the spirit Casimiro Cunha, a poet, through Chico Xavier. In every single poem he writes, he mentions the word laziness. And I was struck by it. I was like, can't be possible. And studying more and more, I could understand what Emmanuel is describing in one paragraph. And he says this way: many disasters follow our path of necessary experiences in the shape of our soul's flaws and weaknesses when facing the laws of God. However, of these, the greatest disaster is laziness. Because laziness is the protector of ignorance and penury, and through this we can descend into the strangest evil imbalances. So he's saying, he begins by talking about abundance and scarcity. Work as the talent of all. And he ends by reminding us that if we don't use the force that we're given to live in a useful way, by the use of the fortune of time, we're going to fall into the abyss of the strangest evils because we're lazy. So what can catapult us from where we are to being useful? Our will. Goodwill. Will is a driving force of the soul. Shall we ask, since it's a therapeutic conversation, shall we ask my friend, my friends of all of us, how lazy are we? Don't be shy, don't tell me, don't tell anybody, but just yourself. Let us tell ourselves. In a scale 0 to 10, 0 to 10, 0 being like super lazy and 10 like not lazy at all. Yeah, we're reversing it. We're giving a 10 to the non-lazy. But where do we think we are, friends? It's important that we know Laziness is when we want to keep ourselves in the comfort zone. We don't want to change. We don't want to move. We don't want to create new habits. Boredom equals to laziness. If we are not using creativity, we're being lazy. Because creativity is a force within that comes from God. Okay? So we really, really, really need to observe where are we in terms of laziness. What can you and I do to prove to our own selves that we're not lazy? Not anymore. What can we do? First of all, park our cars far away from the store we're going to enter. To walk a little bit more. Second, by not be willing to sit when we see a chair. Because it's tempting. Right? Yeah. No, we shouldn't judge people who are acting late. No. We're observing ourselves, Vanessa. Exactly. We should observe ourselves. That's why we're asking here. Am I lazy? Not others. If others are lazy, it's their problem, not ours. But if I'm lazy, Emmanuel is saying, if I am lazy, we're descending into the strangest evil imbalances. No wonder the world is going through the chaos of nowadays. Because we're being tested. Get out of the comfort zone. Get out of the comfort zone. That's the real protest for our own selves. Vanessa, get yourself out of the comfort zone. Let me do something new every day. Even if it's like Mentor Joseph was saying yesterday, if it's to brush the tooth every day with my left hand, drink coffee with the hand that I'm not used to doing, that's already creating new patterns in our physiology. It makes us feel different. You drink usually by using the right hand. Now you do with the left. Minimal things that can boost a new habit for us. If you read a page of a book every day, read 2. Always increasing. If you write a beautiful word to a friend every day, then add writing a beautiful word to 2 friends every day. And as Rudy is saying, yes, read. So laziness is the protector of ignorance and penury. You know what this means? Learn the new. Learn the new. Emmanuel is telling us right here that if we want to progress, we need to learn the new. Learn a new language. Don't keep the old habits. Oh, but in my former country where I was born, well, you were born in this life, but in previous lives you were born elsewhere. We can't protect that little niche forever. We need to expand. We are citizens of the universe. We're citizens of the world, to say the least. It's time for us to open our hearts to the new, always, each and every day. And that's a great way to counter laziness, because laziness protects ignorance and penury. So love is active. Love is the pathway through which we're open to the new without fear. Is there anybody in your life whom you feel afraid of? You think, I'm going to meet this person, but I'm afraid of that person because I think this person is not very kind, very judgmental, this or the other. Is there somebody like that in your life? Okay, let us be active before that person. How can we do it? Think of that person as a child of God. Work, let us work now and enjoy visualizing the good of that person. The good. Seeing that person. This person is a child of God. Visualize it. And you're gonna feel that you have no fear anymore. You fear no longer. You can teach this to your children, to the teenagers. When they come and say, oh, but that person, say, you know, that person is a child of God. But they are children of God. Think of them as children of God, and you're going to find courage. You're going to face your fears. Because deep inside, we're all from God, including money. Are you afraid of money? It's 6 chapters this far. And we're learning that money doesn't rule, but we rule over money. Because money is subordinated to the force of work. Our health is subordinated to the force of work. If we want to be healthy, even the ancient Egyptians, they talked about the balance of the mind, the balance of emotions, the balance of the body. And even in their drawings, they had the 3 images that were parallel to the goals of balancing the mind, the emotions, and the body. But it comes out of an effort of work. We work. Work is everything. If we want to teach something fantastic to our kids, is the force of work. Don't worry about teaching them about the power of money, the value of money. They need to learn the value of work. Because if they are useful, they are never going to lack anything. If they enjoy, as Emmanuel is saying, if they enjoy working like bees enjoy making honey, they're going to nourish many lives. And when you nourish many lives, you're never going to lack anything. Because you are actually nourishing lives. Yeah, feeding many bellies. Yes, and that's how we are never going to lack. So your talent, my talent, the talent of all, is the force of work. You feel inspired? You feel like working in spite of the fact that it's midnight? If it's midnight and you feel like working, congratulations to you. But go work in the spiritual realm and let your body work on its restoration. If you are elsewhere in this world, the beautiful world, and it's already past the hours, like for Valeria in Brazil, my friend, go back to sleep because you deserve it. And my friends, if you're elsewhere like Rihanna and others like Julija, and it's already, they keep working, because through work we will ascend to the higher and greater spheres. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you for your kindness in sharing your okay, you're right. Our example will speak more than words, and you are so right. Friends, big hug of gratitude to all of you, and let us continue. Tomorrow, we're going to deepen ourselves into a new understanding. Emmanuel is going to tell us beneficence and charity. Are they different? He says beneficence relieves the ordeal. Charity extinguishes evil. What is he talking about? Gratitude to all. A hug. And let us keep redefining money and strengthening ourselves. sharing the good news, creating a better world.